it understood, boy. I am from the hood, boy. Came up from the dirt. Self-made hustler, I'm a beast. I'm a beast. I'm surrounded by all these devil mouths. They talking about kales. Some say I came from heaven, but I rose up from hell.
Around 1993, music shifted. Songs went from relationship, love, meaningful sex of R&B lyrics to the abrasive rap hip-hop lyrics of transactional sex. Sex for money and material things. A new form of prostitution. We saw prostitution go from get the money up front and in exchange for goods and services, to a new age form of prostitution, have sex, eat pussy by the pound, and later hand the guy your phone bill, your rent bill, your car payment. Get a purse, get a bag. It's still prostitution, but it's prostituting backwards. The women who play the game today are having sex for money, having sex for position, having sex for a come up. The goal, become wife, become girlfriend, have a baby, and if that all fails, accuse the guy of rape or be a part of a sex scandal and get the bag by any means necessary. We had a cultural shift when reality TV ushered in the phrase, famous for being famous. For the first time in history, you could become famous for being attached to someone famous. Shows like Basketball Wives, Love and Hip Hop Atlanta, Housewives of all the various cities, Atlanta, LA, Potomac, showed females becoming famous because they had sex with someone who was famous. That combined with social media and the women's movement all created the environment that we see today. Females are looking for a come up. They're looking to become famous for having sex for money. The groupies, the prostitutes, the whores, the gold diggers, the opportunists want to be on TV. They want to make money. They want to be famous. They want to write books. They pursue rich, powerful men like R. Kelly. They are willing to fuck and suck on demand, eat pussy by the pound, lick and stick, all for $1. And if they can't get the money up front, they look for back-end money. Cry rape, cry foul, show fake ID, then say I'm underage, but get the bag by any means necessary. All of it is the basis of surviving R. Kelly. R. Kelly sits on and rests on this new form of prostitution.
Fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy night.
Like publicly owning your thing. Yeah. He, R. Kelly in particular, Russell came back with a not me hashtag, which was just offensive, instead of like taking all his mindfulness and his meditation. Right. And his, and sitting somewhere in a corner and dealing with what he has admitted to, R. Kelly came out with a 19-minute song a couple of weeks ago with these the fake apology, which is, I'm sorry if you felt offended. That's not an apology. It's not. An apology acknowledges how you have harmed someone. It makes a promise to never do it again. Yeah.
I went out with Stacey Dash. There were no black actresses that I didn't date. They're my friends today. Also the Dutch and German and French and Angolan and Tanzanian and South African supermodels. I went out every night and I looked for new girls to date, and almost all of them are my friends today. In fact, everyone I mentioned, certainly, and all the ones I'm referring to when I talk about supermodels from all over the world, these are my friends today, and they don't have the experience of me being the monster that the movie makes me to be. So I was thrilled that Oprah took on this movie, because I thought, well, it's impossible for Oprah, who has so much integrity. There's a great teacher here who told me that the teacher told me that God would sort it out. And I said to the teacher, would God come in the form of an investigative journalist? And so enter Queen Oprah, who herself is an investigative journalist. And I said, it's absolutely no way she's going to go forward when I present her with 30 witnesses or so who came forward after they saw their friends and children and parishioners on television. And so I felt very confident she'd walk away. She walked away, and she did say that the stories had inconsistencies. Not one, but all stories, all three girls who were the lead. The stories should not have been printed based on the information I've given. And NBC, New York Magazine, CNN, and many people have passed on those stories. And finally, Oprah and Apple. So I'm sorry that the movie is out, but at the same time, I'm glad they had their moment to say what they wanted to say. I could never say that someone doesn't feel victimized. 30 years ago, these stories are 25 to 40 years old. I can't say someone doesn't feel victimized. I can tell you that I don't feel that I victimize them. And how can I say that? I took 9 separate 3-hour lie detector tests by 2 separate teachers. Polygraph. So I just want to share that. They're available to you. And I just wanted to say that. And I don't know what else to say except I feel terrible. One of the things that happened during the investigation that Oprah did was I told her that I read Jane LaMette's report and I believed her. It broke my heart when I read it. I never heard it. 30 years later, I read it. I believed her. She said she got in the car and the car door locked. My first instinct was, shit, car doors locked in 1990. Loud Cadillacs. So there was a misunderstanding as far as I can tell, because I believe her. But I also passed 9 tests because I believe me, that are 95% accurate. And the chairman of the Polygraph Association of California is a pretty credible polygraph examiner. So I feel terrible about the women who may have felt victimized. I am certainly not a monster or a victimizer. And that's a lot more than I wanted to say about it. But there's at least 10 articles in Black newspapers that are available for anybody to read. Ebony Magazine has a story, and Washington Examiner, many. And those investigative reporters, and any investigative reporter will tell you that those stories shouldn't have been printed, much less made a movie about. So that's the question.